welcome, and we'll have roll call to make sure we're all here. Which one?
What are we supposed to do?
Oh,
We're here.
Uh,
We all here?
Welcome, and a roll call of the board.
Director Coffey. Here. Director Dodson. Here. Director Wieskamp.
Here.
Director Corbett.
Here.
Director Waspy.
Here.
Director Rosario.
Here.
Oh, Director Lane.
Here.
Okay. With that, we will open, and we hope that you will join us in the pledge.
Mike's over there.
And I would like Dennis Waspy to lead us in the pledge, please.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Oh, it's true.
Okay, I need approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Under public comments, I have two speakers' names. If there's anyone else who would like to come and speak to us before we start the meeting, please let our clerk of the board know. The first name is Peter Zirkle from the Board of Directors, Iron House Sanitary District. Mr. Zirkle.
Can we just stand here or go to the podium?
Oh, we want you at the microphone. Come on, it's not that far.
Yes. Talk close to the mic. Am I close to the mic?
Let's make sure the mic is on.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, my name is Peter Zirkle. I am currently the president of the Board of Directors of Iron House Sanitary District. And on behalf of the Board of Directors and the staff of Iron House Sanitary District, we want to thank you for having this meeting here today. We will also want to thank you for the use of your facilities over the last several years. We appreciate it. And on behalf of the board, I have a little gift for the board. To add to your display case or whatever you like. So thank you. Let me pass that on.
Okay,
All right.
thank you very much. You have some beautiful property. It's been a while since I've been on it, but it certainly is. I'm not eyeing it for us, I'm just saying. The next speaker is Kevin Roderick, Oakley City Council member.
Romick.
Roderick? Roderick?
Rolling.
Roman.
Yeah.
All right.
I know the speaker.
Listen, with a name like Wieskamp, I accept all kinds of
Kevin Romick, Oakley City Council. Thank you for meeting here again. It's been a while, but we appreciate you being out here. This park has become such a part of Oakley, and it's becoming such a growing asset. It is unbelievable the amount of programs that you have out here. I know we have one coming up here Sunday night to help preserve some dunes.
Sunday morning.
Sunday morning,
Yes.
Sunday morning, correct. We had, yes, and we had a full moon out here just a few days ago. Like I say, for the city, this is just one of our crown jewels, one of our giant speaking points of drawing people into Oakley. And sometimes I want to share it with the world, and sometimes I'd rather just keep it quiet. Because I love coming here early in the morning with the dog. The dog and I walk out here. We walk from home, so we get here before the gates are open. We have the park basically to ourselves. And there's nothing so peaceful as going out early in the morning out onto the pier and just sit there in total silence, and all you hear are the birds and the wind and the waves. It is amazing, the environment you have created here for us, and we really appreciate everything you've done. And we appreciate your continued interest in bringing features and programs out here. So thank you very much for everything you've done.
Thank you very much for your kind words, and we're glad we're part of Oakley.
And President Wieskamp, I think Councilmember Romack deserves an applaud. I think he was the first And every meeting we've had, I don't know if you've missed any, but that's
Wow.
pretty great as a record, so.
If I had a blue ribbon with me, I'd give it
That's
to you.
okay.
But I'm glad you and your dog are enjoying this wonderful park on a regular basis. Any other public speakers at this time?
No, Madam
Okay,
President.
none at this time. Then we have two special presentations. Jeff Rasmussen is going to talk about the East Contra Costa County accomplishments. Jeff.
Yes, Jeff Rasmussen, Assistant Finance Officer. It's my pleasure today to share the accomplishments in the past year at East County. But before I begin, I'd like to make two introductory comments. First is that we do have a map on the wall produced by our great GIS department that actually we do a lot in East County. And this shows all the things we've been doing for the last 5 years in East County. So thanks to GIS department for putting that exhibit together. Second thing to make clear is I have the pleasure of presenting today, but the work I'm sharing and showing you today, they represent all the work of all the people and departments of the Park District, as well as all of our partners in East County. So it's my pleasure to make this presentation. So first off, here's just a great picture of the Grove property at Doolin Canyon, 160 acres, beautiful parcel. The next acquisition is the Pruvance property of 92.4 acres, and this is just east of the Round Valley staging area. It has some great houses and facilities on it. And the acquisition there was $1.3 million of WW funds. The next acquisition, this is the Nunn Conservation Easement just north of Round Valley. And this actually is where we're maintaining or implementing conservation easements, and we will receive about $280,000 a year for managing that, but a great way to leverage all of our stewardship capabilities and conserving lands. The next acquisition is the Poppy Halstead property, 72 acres. And this is located in this very southern part of Deer Valley. You can see the yellow triangle on the bottom. And this acquisition was $844,000 funded by WW funds, HCP, as well as Next Era mitigation funds, their mitigation funds for the wind turbines in this county. So moving on to some projects for the Clayton radio demolition. This was completed last year. Here's a picture of the original tower as it stood. Then during demolition, the heavy equipment pulling it down, tearing down the block building, and then finally after restoration and hydroseeding. So another project completed last year. Actually, this project has been going on for a couple of years. At the end of 2017, the Park District completed renovation of the parking lot and the restrooms. There's a small picture at the bottom there that shows the two restrooms in the parking lot, and that was completed. But we need to come back at the end of 2018 and install the floating docks. You see another pictures up here. There's a brand new aluminum dock, new concrete pilings that support it all, as well as a new concrete gangway that's much safer and ADA compliant as well. And this is open for boat launching as well as fishing. And I'm sorry, that project, well, the entire project cost for that was $1.5 million funded from Department of Boating and Waterways, Bureau of Reclamation, as well as 553 funds. So the next project is pavement repairs here in East County, and I actually recall last year at this same meeting about this exact time we were beginning this project, but it's a really great project. We're actually able to complete pavement repairs for the entirety of Marsh Creek Trail as well as the Big Break Regional Trail. And then as I was driving in, seeing how great the pavement looked coming into Big Break here, so we did that. And also we did do the Antioch Fishing Pier, also paving out there, and got repaired for about $300,000. Another impressive project in East County is to repair the Star residence. A big tree fell in through the house, and folks in design and construction completely rebuilt it using insurance funds as well as district funds. This is another project, this trail graveling at Vasco Hills. That's funded by WW Safety and Security Funds. And this project is particularly helpful and interesting. This connects the service yard at Vasco Hills through this tunnel underneath Vasco Road and then down out to Byron Vernal Pools. So it's a great opportunity for improving operations and future public access. And also thanks to the HCP for their help in permitting and getting this implemented. Another project project out at, this is in Byron Vernal Pools, this is the Casey Property Grazing Infrastructure Project. So, from a $190,000 grant from the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, it was helped secured by the HCP. We were able to replace gates and fencing out there, and then install a new solar well, as well as storage tanks and a couple cattle troughs off Casey property.
All these things we don't know.
And then another great completed project is the Horse Valley project. This was a $750,000 project funded by the HCP, and then actually we did receive some funding from FEMA for the pond that was damaged during the storms for this, and it restored about 2.2 acres of vernal pools and 4,000 linear feet of creek. So now we're moving on to planned projects, so the projects that are coming in the future. So this is a project to install a storage shed. The plans are kind of tough to see, but we'll be installing a new storage shed out here at the end of the visitor center. And why that is the picture up here is the existing storage shed that's out by the shoreline, but it's packed full not only of kayaks and life-saving equipment for outdoor rec and interpretation, that's also where operations need to keep their mowers and their supplies and all that for the park. So by building a new storage shed, we'll be able to leave this shed be completely dedicated to programs and the public out there, and it also give an operations a good place to store their supplies and have them have a great shop here on the property. The board's very familiar with the Kolb Exhibit Project. This is coming at the end of this year, a $1.1 million project funded by the general fund, as well as a grant from the Regional Parks Foundation. Another highly anticipated project coming online this year, will be the wetland restoration and public access at Bay Point Regional Shoreline. It's a $4 to $5 million project. And it's funded by WW, as well as the $750,000 grant from the Land and Water Conservation Fund the general manager helped us secure. Actually, also interesting, over $2 million grant from the Delta Conservancy. It's the first time we've ever gotten a Delta grant for the district, and quite substantial, as well as funding from the Conquered Naval Weapons Delta Trail Mitigation Fund, or mitigation fund administered by the county for developing the Delta Trail in this area. And then finally, on upcoming projects is the Orway Bridge approaches. Caltrans and the county replaced the bridge a number of years ago, and under the terms of that agreement, the district needs to complete the approaches from the bridge, which you can't quite see in the distance, but up here to our entrance to the Delta Access property in East County. So that has to be completed for agreement by 2022. And then I thought I'd just take a moment, board, and briefly indulge me, share with something. We're getting kind of near the end of the WW Local Grant Program, and these projects were not all completed this year. These are projects that have been completed over the last 10 years, but I thought I'd briefly share just a few sample projects from a number of jurisdictions in the area. So this was over $1 million pool renovation by the Ambrose Park District for Bay Point. Here the city of Pittsburgh has the Central Park. The district contributed over $900,000 to the Central Park sports fields renovation. In Brentwood, we have bocce courts and tennis lighting project. Here at Oakley, the district contributed over $400,000 to the civic park improvements. And here in Antioch, we have the East Ridge Playground project. And we did a lot of playgrounds in WW, it's a popular theme, and in Discovery Bay, Cornell Park is also one of the WW projects. And I'll take any questions or comments.
Okay, Jeff is open to questions. Board members have any questions or comments? Anybody from the audience? Looks like he's satisfied us. It's not a great deal. Oh, we have one person who would like to.
Maybe
call it.
the general manager could comment. I understand that we funded the commencement of land use planning for the old golf course section of the Roddy Ranch area, which is Deer Valley.
Yeah, just very briefly, the district is looking at reutilizing the Roddy Ranch Golf Course, which has been closed for over 2 years, and utilizing that trail system parking lot and access as a new entrance to the new Deer Valley Park. And staff has got that in their work project list to start that work.
Okay. And I think that included the idea of long hikes and this people who wanted to take short, easy ones on paved areas. Pretty easy to do and adaptable for everyone, so I think that's a great project. Do we have anyone else who, yes we do, East Contra Costa County Delta Atlas, Neoma Laval. Neoma? I've seen it, and it's fantastic.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, President Smith, Board, Naomi Laval, acting principal planner in acquisition, stewardship, and development. I'm here today to talk about the East Contra Costa Delta Atlas, which is a project we've been working on for the last 2 years in planning and GIS. This is a existing conditions, constraints, and opportunities document that is really a slightly different approach that planning is taking towards a regional approach to planning in the park district. The Delta is about 500,000 acres of waterways, levees, and farmlands in the Sacramento-San Joaquin area. This stretches from Yolo County up in the north, all the way down to Stanislaus County in the south. The Park District, with East Contra Costa County, this region makes up about 16% of the total Delta area and 11% of just the 2 counties under our purview. Understanding East Contra Costa County Delta region for planning and GIS is very important. We conceive the Delta Atlas, which is before you, as a long-range planning tool. It elaborates upon existing conditions, such as demographics, political boundaries, protected lands, as well as exploring the political and policy landscape in the East Contra Costa County area, as well as proposed projects, not just by the Park District, but by other jurisdictions. It also identifies opportunities, natural and cultural resource protection opportunities, recreation opportunities, as well as stakeholders and potential partnerships. It's really meant to be a long-range regional planning strategy to first understand the conditions and the opportunities and the constraints in the Delta to help us guide us as we plan for future recreation and open space protection. It's a complex place, the Delta, and East Contra Costa County. So I want to go into a little bit of what you can find in the atlas. Let's explore it. In the entire area that you see on this map on the left, from protected lands, Eastby Regional Parks owns 30,000 acres. But within the boundary in black, which is the legal Delta boundary, we have about 3,200 acres. This is an area of potential for the Park District. East Contra Costa County is relatively new to the Park District as a whole, joining the Park District in 1981. And we only have 4 parks, 3 of which are open to the public in this legal Delta boundary. City parks cover about 760 acres, and the entire mosaic, which you'll see that stretches all the way down to Mount Diablo in this entire area, is about 73,000 or 74,000 acres of protected lands. This is a really exciting place. There's also really important natural resources in the Delta. It's home to many special status species, and there's also a very important migratory flyover and resting area. It's a wildlife corridor. It could be migratory waterfowl, as well as a variety of fish species and other animals. Demographics are also changing in the Delta. About 220,000 people live in the East Contra Costa area. 89% of the population is younger than 65. This is an active population. And almost 30% is under the age of 18, which means that these are our future park users, and 30% of them are young. This is who is going to be using our park in the next 30, 40, 50 years. It's also diversifying community. Currently, there's about 63% of the population identifies as white or mixed race, but as you can see in Pittsburgh, over 50% of the population is with communities of ethnic majority. It's also a place with a really rich history. This area of the Delta is where John Muir would have traversed to go to the Sierras. This is also where Native American tribes would have hunted tule elk or collected reeds. The recent establishment of the Delta as a National Heritage Area really puts a national focus on identifying and preserving and interpreting the rich local history and heritage of the Delta. It's also a place that's going to experience the changing climate. Sea level rise is expected to rise by 2030 by 2 feet. And you can see how the communities are changing with approved development projects. You can see the overlay between the map on the left and the map on the right. This is an area where these things need to be accounted for and thought through. There's a lot of opportunities, and this atlas will goes into identifying recreation opportunities, restoration opportunities, opportunities for partnerships. There's a lot of diverse needs in the East Custer County Delta region, not just for recreation, but for transportation, for housing. The Delta Atlas explores a little bit the topics on proposals for Jersey Island land use, restoration of the Knights and Nunn property, which is owned by the Park District, restoration opportunities at the Three Creeks Parkway, which Brentwood is currently has underway, as well as the Tri-Link Highway. We tried to identify as much as we could in terms of what is being proposed out in this area to have a better understanding of what the Park District goals and how we can fit in with the greater mosaic of projects and opportunities. Kind of want to explore a little bit about projects by others that we identify in the atlas. The Dutch Slough Tidal Marsh Restoration is located just east here at Big Break. It's a project by the California Department of Water Resources, proposes breaching the levees and restoring the marsh in this area. It also proposes trails and a community park, the Dutch Slough Community Park for the city of Oakley. Another project by others is Iron House Sanitary District is exploring and evaluating land use opportunities on Jersey Island, which is located north of Big Break. In 2009, Park District staff completed a feasibility study of what could happen in terms of recreation use. And the study was provided to Iron House as they go through their process. And this is just one part of their land use study. But it identifies camping and there's existing recreational trails on the island, but as well as where could we extend, or where could trails be extended. And there's a lot of different recreational opportunities. As part of this process, we held a multi-jurisdictional stakeholder meeting to kind of bring together representatives from the state, from local cities, the county, to see what do people want to do in this region in terms of recreation. We have identified everything from kayaking and boating, which the Park District provides, to you-pick farms and agritourism, as well as cultural education and interpretation. It's not everything that the Park District would do, but it's an opportunity and to better understand what the community wants in this region. I want to extend a huge amount of gratitude to the teams and the people who worked on this project. Planning and GIS staff, Kim Tai and Christy McCaskey, are here in the office, and they, along with Eddie Willis and our supervisor Brian Holt, provided a lot of guidance and input and worked very hard on this project. We also had an internal stakeholder meeting about 2 years ago with staff from operations, land acquisition, stewardship, trails development, planning, interpretation, as well as sending out copies of this document for review and input. And then a year ago, we had a stakeholder meeting here with representatives from various agencies and really collected a lot of great input and feedback. Thank you for your time this afternoon. I don't know if there are any questions.
Well, I think it's one of the more useful things I've seen in a long time. It's telling us what we've got now and showing us all a lot of opportunities. Comment committee board member. Corbett.
I just wanted, I've seen this before, and I just wanted to say again, this is an amazing body of work. And it's really nice to have all this information in one place for such a dynamic area of the state, which is so important for so many different reasons. But just to be able to reference this information in one place is you know, it can be very, very helpful for the future of this region. So thank you for the work. I think it's a great way to use our Park District resources for the benefit of the entire community. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just add my thanks to that. Just to echo
Director
everything
Coffey?
Director Corbett said. I'm wondering if we have plans to distribute the atlas to local jurisdictions?
I'm certainly, that's our intent. I don't know that we've embarked on an exact list yet, but that we want it used. I'll give you a really good example. We were contacted about 2 months ago that the Department of Fish and Wildlife of the state of California is doing a major study on Frank's Track.
Right.
It kind of came out from the blue, and so they have been contacting us and others, and so we're participating in that. But the fact that we have something like that already identified, that's showing other people's plans as well as ours, is really, I think, helpful to them, and I think it will help further whatever's decided about restoration of Frank's Track. And we're not really sure what it is yet, but we know a lot of people are interested in what happens there.
And I just shared my copy with the
Yeah.
sanitary district. And
Okay.
you'll find the page devoted to Jersey.
Oh, I intended to share this.
Thank you.
We do plan on distributing PDFs to all of the external stakeholders that participated, as well as eventually posting the document on the website.
Terrific.
Okay, Director Lane?
Yeah, I'd like to add my thanks to this. We've been working on it for how long? A couple of years?
2 years.
How many years?
2 years.
And, you know, we come out here just in June every year, and each time we come out, you know, we take a look at East County, see how it's changed. And what I like about this is that the Park District is presenting a picture, a comprehensive picture of East County, its resources and possibilities. And I think that's the kind of thing that we should be doing. And so I'm really pleased to see this. This is the final copy as of this year, right?
That's correct, yeah.
And then if we need to do additional changes, we can always update it. So thank you very much, the staff and staff here at Big Break for putting this together. It will be an invaluable piece.
Any other director have a comment? I've got a copy at home, so I would like to give this to the Oakley City Council member who is here. If you'd like to have it.
Yeah, I'd love to have it. Great that we make it available on PDF and on the
But you'll have a
on the website.
handheld.
I'll have a handheld copy. Thank you.
Yeah, would be all right.
Thank you very much, great
Okay.
presentation.
Yeah, it would be really beneficial though to get it online.
Kevin, do you think we should ask for autograph?
Oh, good point.
Anyway, you know, sometimes people wonder where government is, but I think when you're doing this kind of low-key work and putting things together forward thinking, that's where we all hope to be. And I certainly, and I think the whole board will agree, we'd like to see us all working together to serve our constituents. So it's always fun to come out here. It's not as hot today. I can say that because I live in Livermore, and it's usually, we run a contest, don't we?
Right, who's hotter, Oakley or Livermore?
Yeah, that's
Big
right.
contest.
So you're being very kind to us today.
It's the Delta breeze that's keeping us
Oh.
nice and cool.
Hooray for the Delta breeze. Okay. Anything else? If not, we'll go to the consent calendar, and I'm going to ask the clerk of the board if there's any question or comment on any item.
Yes, Madam President, Director Rosario had several questions. All were answered except for item DE.
Which one?
DE.
D?
E as in Edward.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
And then, that's the only one on consent for Director Rosario.
Okay.
Director Lane had two questions on, one on item L
Uh-huh,
and the other on item N, as
okay,
in Nancy.
okay.
And that's all I have that was
So I got,
given to me in advance.
L was answered for me at
L was
our
answered?
field trip, so.
Cross out L. All
So-
right, then let's go to E. Resolution to support 327 Wounded Veteran Recreation Act.
Yeah, just my question was this, you know, if something like this passes, would the Park District honor this pass in our parks?
I'll let Eric answer that, our legislative manager.
Well, I think you framed it correctly, that if something like this passes, I think it's got quite a few steps to go through. But if it were, I think it would be something that we would want to look at and consider and honor our veterans.
Yeah, great, thank you. Looking forward to it passing.
I think it's very worthwhile. Next item was Director Lane on N, authorization to purchase a Model 210H regenerative air sweeper, whatever that may be.
So, actually, that was my question.
Okay,
What is a regenerative
What
air
is it?
sweeper?
I'll do my best here.
Describe it.
Assistant General Manager of Operations. A normal sweeper exhales the air that's often filled with dust, so a sweeper will pull up the material into the chamber inside the sweeper, and then the air is expelled from there. This regenerates the air, so you're not expelling that dust-filled air into the atmosphere, especially around park areas where we're trying to keep that air clean and don't want the dust settling down to the rest of the park facility.
does that mean keeps it clean and neat?
Correct, it's not
There we go.
exhaling all that
A clean
dust-filled
sweeper,
air from the
okay.
sweeping
Clean
process.
sweeper, thank you. Hard to argue with that.
Director
All right.
Wieskamp, this is a question for Jim. Is there a direct benefit for the employees who are using it as far as health? Or is this really just disturbing park users by dust, or is it?
I think it would be both,
Yeah.
because, they're inside the cab of the truck, so
Okay.
they're having filtered air through the air conditioning system, but
Okay,
I think it'd be mostly just not exhaling that out into the atmosphere around park users where we're doing the sweeping process.
thank you.
Okay, any other item? If not, could we have a motion on the consent calendar? Director Corbett made the motion. Do we hear a second? Director Coffey made the second.
Is that actually done?
Oh,
Jackson?
any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Great. Then we're on to the Finance and Management Services Division, a public hearing. Item A, approval of the engineer's report for fiscal year 2019-2020. Adopt a resolution confirming diagram, assessment, order maintenance, improvements, and levy annual assessment of the Eastern Contra Costa County Landscaping and Lighting Assessment District Number 1.
If you ask for this, speak into the mic.
Right, I'll get it closer. This is for a public hearing on the resolution confirming the diagram and assessment, order maintenance, improvements, and levy annual assessment for the East Contra Costa County Landscaping and Lighting Assessment District Number 1. Who's making the presentation?
Would you ask her to speak into the mic?
Speak into the mic. Everybody has to speak up.
Can you hear me all right? Is it turned up enough?
Well, the microphones are really low, so you need to speak, get closer.
Project, how's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Better.
Okay, so as Director Wieskamp pointed out, this is one item, but you're taking many different actions, and we'll recap that again at the end. And the end goal is to improve our East Contra Costa County Lighting and Landscaping Assessment District for 2019 and 2020. Still can't hear me. Is that better?
Close.
Is it?
I feel like I'm gonna pass my germs on to it.
Well,
Okay.
it's good for you.
It's so hard to tell. Just keep
No,
speaking.
it's not.
Okay.
It's the way they said.
I will begin by giving you a brief history of the East Contra Costa County Lighting and Landscaping District. So originally, this area was not included in East Bay Regional Park District. It wasn't annexed until 1981. When that was done, it was done without the benefit of property taxes being included. So we had no general fund revenue coming into this area. And a citizens task force was convened to figure out how to address this situation. And at the time, the area was rapidly changing, and as we keep hearing, still changing, from farmland and ranches to residential development. In 1991, the Lighting and Landscaping Assessment District was formed to help fund the maintenance in this area. And in 1996, it was placed on the ballot to be confirmed again as Measure LL. And so that was approved by 67% of the voters in the assessment district boundaries. And that assessment of $19.70 per residential unit has not changed since that time. You guys hear me okay? So just a reminder of what a landscaping and lighting assessment district is. It's a special assessment, and that's why we go through this process. And it is a multi-step process. So back on April 17th, the board adopted the resolution initiating proceedings. The board approved the engineer's report and adopted the resolution of intention on May 21st. And then on June 7th, the clerk of the board published a notice of public hearing so that the public could come and discuss this item if they were interested. And today is that final step where the board will conduct the public hearing, and unless there's a 50% protest, will order the levy. So these are the boundaries for the East Contra Costa County Lighting and Landscaping Assessment District. It's the Liberty Union High School District, so everybody within those orange boundaries is paying that additional assessment. And you can see the green parks are the areas that can be funded with that money. One question we often get is how can the money be used? So generically, the California Streets and Highways Code describes how the funds can be used. And then we specifically in the engineer's report list out many different tasks that would be completed by the staff to use these funds. And so here are those staff on the right-hand side. So it's 4.86 FTE in the Delta unit. Some of them are fully funded, some are partial funding. And you can also see their supervisors and their managers in there. And then on the left-hand side, you've got the list of the parks and the trails that are in this area. And so again, in keeping with the theme of a rapidly changing area, even though the assessment, the dollar amount that each parcel is being assessed has not changed, the number of single-family units in the area keeps growing, and so our revenue has been increasing. It's more than doubled since 1997. However, it's still not enough to fund all the different parks that we have in this area. So on the left-hand side, you can see a listing of the different parks in the area, what the operating budget is, and then down at the bottom, you can see the funding source. So we spend almost $1 million in general fund money to support these parks, on top of the East Contra Costa County Lighting and Landscaping funds, and then some other special funds as well. Sometimes we have additional funds left over, in which case we are able to appropriate them to some special projects in the area. So you can see here a couple that are going on right now, both here at Big Break, one of which is to build a storage shed for kayaks and other INR equipment. And then also to do some improvements and restoration at the Delta map out here, which I'm sure you've all seen. So again, recapping, you're going to be taking really 5 actions with this item. You're receiving public comments regarding the report, approving the report, and adopting a resolution confirming the diagrams and assessment and set forth in the engineer's report, ordering maintenance and improvements, and levying the assessment, and then adopting a resolution overruling protests, if there are any.
Okay.
Happy to take
Two
them.
resolutions.
Any questions from any board members? Comments?
Yeah, I have one question.
Director Lane?
Hello?
I don't know.
Oh, no,
You have to
Came
press
on red earlier,
press that
now it's
button.
doing that.
It's red, it'll,
Good.
I did press it.
then it's,
Then I,
Next to you.
use your outside voice.
I can use my outside voice. I had a
They can't.
question in what we had talked about having been accomplished. And there was something in 2017-18 that talked about improvements to the Delta map. And I'm interested in what those improvements were.
Sure. Can I answer that quickly? All right. Mike Brand, supervising naturals here at Big Break Visitor Center at the Delta. We have ongoing maintenance to upkeep the map. So if there's any damage, anything from tire tracks to broken tiles, so that adds up over time. We periodically do a larger scale maintenance, which is what we're doing this year, where we're updating the changes in the Delta. Removing islands where there no longer are islands, repainting, so it's reviving the luster from 2012. It's been fading over the years. And we've also added lettering, or going to be adding sandblasted lettering to the walkways that depict the main waterways into and out of the Delta. And those are the main improvements that we've done since 2018 as part of a smaller scale repair and then on up to this point. So it's been both in the planning and in the implementation stage.
Okay, so I've noticed that some of it has faded.
Yes.
And so are we going to repaint or whatever?
That's correct.
Process
Yes,
used?
we already have under contract Scientific Art Studios that did the map in the first place in 2012. And we just added, beyond our standard maintenance contract with them, additional services to be performed this summer. One of those things will be, includes the painting.
Okay, thank you.
Certainly.
Okay.
And Michael, so you actually have the power to remove islands from the Delta?
Just like that.
Wow.
You've got quite a future.
Really impressive, isn't it?
All right, any other questions from any board member? Do we have any protests? Do
No,
we
Madam
have any
President.
public who want to speak on this item?
No, Madam President.
Okay. Okay, then let's open the public hearing. Okay.
Come on.
Came on this time, okay? Anyone? We still have no one who wants to speak? Then we'll close the public hearing. You lost your opportunity. And now do I have a motion?
There's two resolutions.
A resolution? All right,
Two.
would you like to read the resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
I'll accept that.
This is the resolution on approval of engineer's report for fiscal 2019-2020, adoption of the resolution confirming diagram and assessment, border maintenance improvements, and levy annual assessment for East Contra Costa County, landscaping and lighting assessment district number 1.
I'll second that.
All right, we have it seconded by Director Lane. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So we've got money for the next year.
And then you want the second resolution, so I will
Absolutely.
also move approval of resolution overruling protests pursuant to Landscaping and Lighting Act of 1972.
Do I hear a
Second?
second from Director Lane? Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We've done it all. We have money to spend. And I'm sure our staff will have to do that. Maybe our director will too.
Oh, absolutely.
We know that.
And then some.
And then some, okay. Next is the general manager report. And the item is the authorization to amend the CalPERS contract to reflect 3% contribution of the Park District employers' rate as individual member contributions for sworn Classic Police Association members. There we are.
Good afternoon, Kip Walsh.
your Chief Human Resources Officer, here this morning to bring this item forward to you, or this afternoon. Bring this item forward. You may recall you saw this item in May. This is the second reading for this item to codify it with the CalPERS agency. It is an amendment to the CalPERS contract that arose out of negotiations with our police association last fall. And this will just simply codify that agreement with the CalPERS agency. And we request your approval. Thank you.
Okay, questions? I believe it says this will become effective June 22nd.
That's correct.
Okay. If there are no questions, anyone have a motion?
Sure, I'll move it. I'll second.
Director Lopsy makes motion, Director Rosario second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Moving on.
Well, that is
Moving on.
Lovely. The Operations Division. This is authorization to award a contract to American Asphalt Incorporated for the maintenance and transfer and appropriate funds district-wide.
Good afternoon, Jim O'Connor, Assistant General Manager of Operations. Just to do a quick introduction, I'm going to pass it off here to the maintenance superintendent. As you know, the district manages over 17 million square feet of pavement district-wide and our 122,000 acres of parkland. For the last 20 years, we've had a pavement preventive maintenance program which evaluates the pavement every 5 years, and through that process assigns a single number called pavement condition index to the entire system. Our goal is to keep our system at an index of 80. Now 100 is brand new pavement. Anything below 50 is usually either replaced or given an overlay treatment. And we do various types of, from this process we do every year, every 5 years we do an evaluation, and then that leads to a 5-year work plan. That work plan includes everything from a full grind and replace of existing pavement with new pavement, all the way to slurry seals and cape seals, which extend the service life of pavement. And you've heard Jeff Rasmussen talk about this in the past. We need to spend, in our system of 17 million square feet, we need to spend about $3.8 million a year in order to maintain a condition of around 80. We've been limited in the last few years by staffing limitations and our ability to throughput work. Last year, Jeff Rasmussen and Eric Holmes did a really incredible effort to work with Mass, and we completed almost $4 million worth of paving. The result of that is we went from a condition overall of about 72 up to about 77. You might recall his presentation from the executive team in December. Which brings us to today. We have completed a reorganization of the Mass unit, including adding Eric's new position of maintenance superintendent. Eric is managing the paving, the roads and trails crew. He's got the sanitation crew, and also manages our contracted paving work, which is the subject of today's item on the agenda. We've also added Michael Stengel, who is the project coordinator focused on paving work. And we're hoping that we can increase our throughput to about $2 to $3 million a year. And the item before you today is almost $2 million, 1.9 in total. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to Eric to talk about today's item.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Eric Coleman, Maintenance Superintendent for the Park District. Today I'm asking for your approval to enter into contract with American Asphalt to perform district-wide asphalt repair, maintenance, and striping. The goal of this program is to preserve and maintain the Park District's infrastructure of paved roads, trails, and parking lots. 3 projects we're going to be doing this year for 2019. Hayward Shoreline, Point Knoll, and Delta De Anza Regional Trail. At Hayward Shoreline, we're doing roughly half a mile of the canal trail from West Winton out to Hayward Landing. We're doing a little work up at Eden Landing, which is at the bottom of the slide up there, and then we're also going to be doing work at the service yard for the Park District. for that park office. The second spot we're gonna be at is up in Point Pinole. We're doing a variety of work up there. We're going after some of that pavement that was torn up from all the heavy construction we had with the Atmospheric Bridge. And then we're also gonna be doing a number of areas of crack fill and seal. The third spot we're gonna be at is the Delta De Anza Trail. We're doing almost 4 miles of various work out there. Mostly it's a sealing. And then at this upper spot here at the Market Creek crossing, we're doing a remove and replace, adding some curb and other type of work. One thing we're focusing on this year is pre-notification. We're trying to get, as soon as we get approval of this contract, we're gonna get signs out to let people know that we're gonna be working on these trails. When we talk to the contractor and have specific dates, we're gonna add additional signs to let people know when the trails are actually gonna be closed. And this is gonna be coordinated with the district website, our partner agencies, and then also, when we have those dates, we're gonna be letting park operations staff know when we're coming so they can let the locals and minimize the inconvenience we have to our constituents. So this afternoon, I'm seeking your approval for this contract for district-wide asphalt maintenance and repair. Thank you, and I'll take questions.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from Director Wassky?
Thank you for your presentation, Eric. So is American Asphalt folks that did Lake Chabot?
Pardon me?
Is that the company that did Lake Chabot last year?
I believe they are. We're talking about the 90,000 road.
Excellent, great group. And one question, why wasn't this done with a jock contract? I know it's over $1 million, but couldn't you have split it? There are two jock contractors that have that designation, right?
Yeah, this, it's my understanding we have job contracting available to us also. So I basically have 3 ways to get paving done at the district. Roads and Trails crew, the design bid build, which is what this contract is, and then also job contracting. So that job contracting should expand our capacity by another $500,000 or so.
So is there an advantage to do the design build this type here for this project, these projects?
It's a good question. Job contracting should involve less design and more, because it's a unit cost. We should be able to just point and get it done as opposed to all the pre-design work that we've done for the design with the.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Director Rosario?
Yeah. Hi, Eric. I just want to know when we do grind and replace, are we recycling that old asphalt and using it in the new road?
The short answer is yes. It's the most economical way to get rid of or to take spoils in the areas where we are doing a remove and replace, to take it to be recycled. The material that we bring back in to pave our projects and also for our subgrade, about 30% of that is recycled also.
Good, great, good to hear. Thank you.
My voice is coming back. Director Corbett, thank you very much. I just wanted to share my appreciation. I know you're just asking for us to approve a particular project. But I just want to share my appreciation for the amount of work that goes into the management of our asphalt and pavement. And a lot of jurisdictions deal with these huge undertakings, and we seem to be pretty much ahead of the game most of the time. And so I just want to share my appreciation, because I know what a big undertaking it is. And to be at 77% is huge compared to other agencies. So thank you for that. Any other comments? Oh, I'd like to say, though, I appreciate the fact that you're going out and you're going to notify those trail users ahead of time and those agencies, and try to keep the public and the dogs as happy as possible so they're not feeling left out. I do think that's important, and I think you noticed that and did it, so congratulations. You don't want to hear from them either.
President Wieskamp, I think this, on behalf of the staff, I'd like to thank the board because the board is the one who has been putting more money into pavement maintenance for about the last almost 10 years now. And that we didn't do before. I think some of us have been around the district for a long time. We had some pretty rough trails. And I think it's a great investment. I think long-term it's beneficial to the employees that don't have to constantly fix it by doing it more of a major overlay. And I think it really is night and day compared to what we do. I also want to acknowledge that this has been an advocacy on the district's level for the local transportation measures as well. So I don't know if any money in this package is coming from the local Contra Costa transportation tax. That's been a major asset for the district. We never used to have that. And they are looking again at going out for another sales tax, and we really want to continue to advocate. And the more we can show what we're doing, the better argument we have to ask for more.
Absolutely. I agree. We use it, they'll maybe give us some more. Director Lane.
I just want to say that since we talk to visitors all the time who are using these trails, when they are improved, we get really wonderful feedback. And when they need work, we hear that sometimes too. So I want to add that having a index of 77 is really very good. It's something that cities that are really concentrate on their pavement come close to, but not necessarily get there. And so I'm going to be talking to the Walnut Creek Council in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to find out what their pavement score is beforehand and share ours with them. I'm sure theirs is pretty high. So with that, I'd like to authorize this contract.
All right, motion made by Director Lane, second by Director Corbett. Further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Go do it. Next, under board and staff reports, actions taken by other jurisdictions affecting the Park District.
Now you've got two items today. One is the City of Hayward approval of a minor subdivision, or a subdivision, not a big subdivision, but it's not a minor subdivision, adjacent to Hayward 1900 and Garin Park. Staff is working with the developer to look at trying to get more parking. The Garin Lane and Carden Lane area has both a hard Hayward Area Recreation District soccer field and a school right on the same road that's our entrance. And we have been trying to eke out more parking there, and I think this will allow us to get some additional parking at that site.
Okay.
Any questions on Hayward?
Director Rosario, did you have a question?
Yeah. How many sites are we looking to try and get?
I don't know at this time yet.
Okay.
Okay, anyone else?
The second item is going to be found here. Got my wrong place. Thank you very much. There we go. This is the ordinance that Contra Costa County has been working on for a long time. We had some concerns over cannabis growing areas in the Bollinger Canyon area of Las Trampas, a pretty remote area, but near the park. Also, area called Tracor. You may know that used to be a Sid Corey property. And that was eliminated by the county, so that will not occur at that site. I think the issue there was water and drainage. So we have been tracking these things. We really try not to have commercial growing of cannabis next to a park site where either kids are interpretive centers or in a place we think is going to impact the environment. So we're happy with this outcome.
Okay, good. And then, under comments?
You have no formal presentation today, but I really did want to point out, although most of the audience has left, we have our brand new great work by our Public Affairs Department and our Grants Department to talk about the local grants. I want to encourage Big Break staff to have a pile of these here and hand out to people. It really shows the recreation that we've done, and I think the number is pretty staggering. Out of the 117 million of grants we've given out so far, we've tripled that amount of money by leveraging local money with our money for the city. So it really has been a great use of public dollars to leverage money. And I know the board's very aware of this and excited about it, but we want to get it out for people to know. And that's it. Any questions on the write-ups?
Okay, anybody have any questions? Director Rosario, and then.
Yeah. Not a question, but a comment. Just noticed under water utilities that Piedmont Stables finally got a resolution to their chlorinator tank system up there. It's been almost 10 years in the making. The park staff there has been having to hand chlorinate those 2 tanks for the last 10 years. So I'm really happy to see that we finally got that resolved.
Electrical power helps.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Other comments?
Director Coffey?
I just wanted to highlight and congratulate Rachel and Mike Moran and the Big Break staff on April 30th All Abilities Day. I got to participate a little in the event. 430 participants, ranging from 23 different community groups from Livermore to Rio Vista. It was a fabulous event and very moving. Appreciate and congratulate all of you.
Good. Director Lane?
So, I'm looking at page 190 under maintenance and skilled trades, and the staff repairing multiple building roof leaks in the new bridge yard building. Could somebody talk to me about that? Maybe it was restored but not the roof?
Oh, that's me.
Well,
Well.
They've spent almost $8 million on the renovation of the building, but it still is a very old building. And we're going to be in an interactive process with our new concessionaire and with BATA to do additional work at that building. And then also they were really limited in what they could do there because they were mitigating for lead paint and asbestos in that building. And so they really were limited in how they could approach repairs to that building, and that's part of the problem. Is a lot of places on the roof had either lead paint and or asbestos, and they were trying to mitigate for that, and it didn't work in some cases. So it's going to be an ongoing challenge there. But that is a good partner, and I'm sure we'll be able to move that forward.
Thank you.
Historic buildings.
Historic buildings are always a challenge, I believe. Okay, any other items you want to discuss or make?
No, but I do want to recognize, I think from the management side as well, as how wonderful it's always come to this park. The staff does a great job. The public has embraced this park so much. I think it has, as council members said, I think it's become a hub of East County, and we have so many other events here. It's just really wonderful. And I would just say that the $2 million grant from the Delta Council would not have happened had it not been that they've had regular meetings here and they've really gotten to know what we're doing about educating people about the Delta. And so the staff just does a great job hosting this meeting, and really appreciate all the work that they do.
Absolutely. It's a great place out here. I'm glad Oakley takes advantage of it. Director Wadsky.
Thank you, and yes, well, yeah, Mike, get back in here because there's only a couple of you left, and not to mention the great hospitality today, but especially hosting the special districts forum, special park district forum. The venue here was incredible, the hospitality was wonderful, and the tours were great. It was a great day here.
It's a great day.
Uh-huh.
And we're here late.
Words about kayaking positive to my right. Okay, anything more? Then I will go to our announcements from closed session. Are there any?
There is. There's one, Director Wieskamp, Carol Victor, District Council. There's one announcement from closed session. By a vote of 7-0 with Director Corbett moving and Director Rosario seconding, the board denied the claim of the City of Richmond.
Okay. Then we will go to board committee reports. The first is the Board Executive Committee. Is there any question or comment? Anything further to be added? I couldn't see anything. And then the next item is the Finance Committee. Director Rosario, anything?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. We were a busy committee then.
Mm-hmm.
Never kept us huge, fully minutes. All right. And then public comments. Is there a request from the public for a comment?
No, Madam President, there isn't a
Public
request.
is happy.
However, we do have a guest that comes every year, and that's our famous popcorn lady.
Yes, I'm Sandy Myers from the City of Brentwood Parks Commission, and I can't resist showing off our produce when I come here. So there's 2 boxes of corn, but I put ice in it, and it melted right away. So, but I brought bags. Help yourself. Take it all home. There's 1 box of white corn, which is sweeter, and 1 box of yellow corn, which is the typical corn.
We look upon you as Miss Hospitality. Thank you so much on behalf of all of us.
You're welcome.
We
Madam
really
President,
appreciate it.
Chief
We appreciate your
Tiley,
coming.
Madam President, Chief Tiley has a presentation. A quick
Members of the board, I wanted to introduce Chief Ross McCumber.
Would you like to come up to the microphone?
Really, you guys can't hear? I will, I'll do that.
I am inviting you to
Are you
come
ready?
up to the microphone.
I'm moving. Can you hear me better here?
Yeah, speak up though.
Really? Nobody's ever asked me to speak.
Well, this is your chance.
Okay. Members of the board, this is Chief Ross McCumber of East Contra Costa County Fire Department. And we invited him out here. I made arrangements with his chief a long time ago that whenever we were going to be present out here at Big Break and in conducting a board meeting, that we would make sure that, he's very busy, but that his staff would know that we were here and they could come and join in the board meeting. And so today we've got Chief McCumber, and he and I were just in the room over there talking about partnerships in the future. So, Chief?
Chief McCumber, we're glad to have you here. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much. I actually have an outside voice normally, so I hope everybody can hear me without the
What is it with the
microphone.
You may make it, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us. Chief Helmick wishes he could have been here. However, we actually have a special district meeting going on right now, trying to get our budget approved. So I'm sure you all are sympathetic to our plight at this time.
Yeah.
So he sends his well regards. Again, thanks for having us. It's just the wildest thing seeing your district grow and having more parks come in and how it overlaps our fire district. Chief and I were just talking about how we have even experienced an uptick in incidents at Round Valley Regional Preserve. That's a good thing. I mean, it's not good that people are having medical problems, but it's a good thing because we're noticing on our end that a lot of the park usership is going through the roof, which means you guys are doing your jobs. People are going to the parks, they're enjoying them, and they're beautiful parks. Chief and I were just talking about partnership with some rescue type stuff. We're starting to recommit to a lot of programs we've had in the past, and what a perfect time to join together, work together, and get everybody trained up. So we're ready to respond to the parks and have a good partnership. So again, thank you, and kind of just did that off the cuff. And if you have any questions, obviously I'm available. Ask away.
Anybody have any questions? I can only say thank you so much for being here, and we appreciate all of the fire department's cooperation throughout the area. I mean, it's so important, we all know that.
Absolutely.
And we like that you like parks too.
I will say my kids love this park in general.
Well, this park seems to be pretty popular in the overall community.
Especially the map.
Anyone else?
Especially
the map. Please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'd like to thank the chief too, and I also want to acknowledge our fire department and our legislative staff's outreach. I think this is really important for East County. As you know, fire issues are front and center for everybody, and I just want the board to observe, and I know the public that is here, that's not staff, acknowledges that we really are communicating. And I think it's really important to have those communications on a regular basis, and it's a good example of that. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank
And I
you.
made sure you got an atlas.
Oh, good. I am glad. I think that will be very useful. Okay. Then, we will go on to board comments, and I will start with Director Rosario.
Oh, are you ready?
Aha, right.
Yes, I am ready.
Gotcha.
I was reading something else.
Well, you can read that too
Okay.
if you want to.
No, we're
You
good.
know what it is.
A testimony from 2010 about, from Will Travis for the Gateway Planning meetings. It's very interesting. But anyway, so here we go, where we, since the 4th. On 6/5, I attended the San Leandro Creek Alliance with Director Corbett. Lots of things happening there. And 6/6, I attended the Contra Costa Mayor's Conference. And then 6/8, I attended the Memorial for Ed Bennett at the Berkeley Yacht Club, which was very touching. I had no idea he was as renowned as he was. A what was he? Yeah, major scientist dealing with brains. And it was just a very touching memorial. And we were able, thanks to Carol Johnson and her department, we were able to get a picture of the East Shore State Park with his picture embedded in the corner. So that was very nice. The family was very appreciative. And then on 6/12, attended the Natural and Cultural Resources Committee. And then that evening, I attended the Alameda County Mayor's Conference in Emeryville. One of the things that was presented there was by East Bay Mud, announced that, with PG&E and their announce of their possible of blackouts, that East Bay Mud Services may be affected as well. So we should probably pay attention to that for our own benefits too as parks. And then on 6/13, attended the workshop. Very well run. We just didn't have time.
More time.
We need more time. I think that, we're gonna do another trails section.
Yes.
Yeah. And then on 6/13, that evening, I met with AFSCME 2428, and then this morning, the field trip and the board meeting. Fabulous. Thank you.
Okay. Director Lane.
Thank you. And I've gone to Natural and Cultural Affairs and the board workshop, which I found very interesting, both of them. Then several of us went to Ed Bennett's memorial, and I have the program here. Did you want to see this, Bob?
Yeah.
The memorial program?
Thank you.
And afterwards, Ann and I went by Point Isabel to see the new project. Looked very good. And then Albany Beach, and I found a parking place 2 spots away from going on the trail. I'm very proud to say.
I think it was legal.
And really, Albany Beach, that project is looking gorgeous. It really is, and there's lots of people that, I've never been there when they haven't had a lot of people. So that was an interesting thing for us to do as we drifted down East Shore. Then after the last board meeting, I did go to the Concord Council and suggest that our partnership could stand a little improvement. And so everybody's working toward that end, I'm happy to say, and I hope we'll be successful going forward with a better partnership. And since we are moving very rapidly to formally receiving that park property, I think that's on the agenda for July 2nd. Yes? it's been a really exciting week for me on that, since we've looked forward to it for a few years. And I want to thank staff for all of their work that they did on it, particularly Christina and Brian Holt, who have been faithfully working on this and working things out, and it's not been an easy situation, except that the Navy seems to love us, and that's why we have the transfer for this year. Then I did have a chance to talk to Rachel Arbios, who is doing our, as an intern to work on the arts in the park, which is a very interesting conversation. And then yesterday, Colin and I went with Terry Noonan and Dave Vance and had our own little tour of Burrell property. And I haven't been there for at least a year, and it looks so much better. What can I say? You know, we had staff working on it, and some of the storage units that were there from, well, they're World War II units that were full of unbelievable things have been removed, and you actually have a sense of being able to look around the property now, which we certainly didn't have in past years. So I guess the house is going to need a new roof. It has 3 or 4 layers on it now. And I'm looking forward, and while we were there, they were disking the property, and I talked to Jim a little bit about it. They did have a walnut expert from the county's ag section come and help us with planning for that walnut grove, and because we had so much rain this last year, we probably are able to successfully prepare the land and have enough water there for the trees, certainly through this summer. And some of those trees, well, one in particular I got very fond of, looks like just a regular tree. It's not a native oak anymore, and it's full of walnuts. So that was not true a few years ago, and so some of those trees definitely can be saved and productive, and very interesting for visitors in the future. So I appreciate that tour that they provided for us. And then I wanted to say that both Bay Nature and the Bay Area News have done articles on Skyline Trail, our Skyline Recreation National Trail, and I am so pleased to see people recognizing it and happy that we have a map for it, and it's just a good thing all around. So thank you for providing information for those writers. And then I have a question about when we will have the Radke Martinez sign.
It's there. It's there.
And with that, I'm done. Thank you.
Yeah, it went in last week. Looks very nice. In fact, the city has finally finished a lot of their project re-landscaping. You know, they really changed a lot of the landscaping on the entrance.
Yes.
It's more pedestrian friendly, much better.
Yes.
Signs in, and actually Dylan Radke contacted both Colin and myself to thank us, and we'll have some type of family celebration out there when we can schedule that.
Great. Anything else? No. Okay. Director Waspy is eager, I can tell.
Thank you. On June 5th, I attended the Hayward Area Recreation Park District Foundation Board meeting, which is a little note, except for the fact that I was armed with the great brochure, the Measure WW report card for the local grants program, which I happened to give to Mayor Barbara Halliday of Hayward. She was very excited about it and impressed with it, and said she would share it with her board, or her fellow council members. Also, Paul McCreary, the general manager of HARD, and some of the HARD board members that I gave it to were very impressed, because they would be obviously the largest recipients of these grants, $12.7 million as a matter of fact. So they were very, very happy, and congratulations on that great document. On June 6th, I attended the part of EBRP Board Executive Committee meeting. On the 8th, I attended FAMFest, Alameda County's version of a family festival, I guess. It was a great little street fair and lots of people there, and got to meet a lot of good people that said a lot of great things about the Park District. The board workshop, the ASD sponsored board workshop was tremendous. Thank you all very much. On June 13th, the Castro Valley Sanitary District Community Advisory Committee met, which again is of little note to us, except for the fact that I'm a member of that group, and we're given the opportunity to, we used to have Earth Day, or we always have an Earth Day festival, and it usually involves cleanup in the community, and to kind of entice people to come, we used to give them t-shirts and plastic frisbees and stuff that you throw away, which the Castro Valley Sanitary doesn't promote. So somebody came up with a great idea to say, if you come, you have the and work at a park, Cull Canyon, Lake Chabot, some of the schools in the area, they'll do a big cleanup, and if you put your name down, you can pick an organization that you want to donate the $5 that the sanitary district will contribute on behalf of you. So of course the community advisory committee has to pick the organizations, because God, you can only imagine what people we'd be supporting with our taxpayer money. Getting to the point, last year the Regional Parks Foundation was one of the three organizations chosen by the sanitary district to be the benefactor of people's donations. I do have the plaque that I was supposed to bring last week, that at the California Association of Recreation and Park Districts awarded the Regional Park District the Outstanding Innovative Program of the Year for our park prescriptions and Shine. Everybody knows what Shine is. Stay healthy in nature, outdoors every day.
Yeah.
Stay healthy in nature every day. Anyway, we won this award. It was a great award. People were talking about it. It stirred up a lot of talk after. People came up to me, even the wait staff. I think I mentioned this last month. The wait staff person was cleaning tables saying, boy, what a great program. That's incredible, blah, blah, blah. And stirred up a lot of interest. So I will give this to Mona Coe on behalf of CARPED.
Absolutely.
And that's it for me. I look forward to everybody on Saturday being at Lake Chabot for the concert in the park and honoring us on our 85th anniversary. It should be a great fun day.
I expect you're going to have lots of people there.
I hope so.
Thank you. Director Dodson, welcome back. We're so glad that you have recovered from your illness.
Still a work in progress.
Well, you're on the road. So do you have anything to add at this stage or not? We're just glad to have you here at the meeting.
The capital workshop.
Okay, he was at the workshop, and he has not been a healthy man, but he's on the road to recovery, and aren't we pleased about that? So welcome back. Then we will next go to the gentleman next to him. No surprises. Director Coffey.
Thank you. I attended, I think this is the highlight of my month.
Okay.
I attended the Big Bird Family Campfire on the 9th. It was a little warm, but always fun program. Neil and I go to a couple every summer. Rachel is the lead naturalist for the kids. And we ate a couple of s'mores. It was a great night out.
The two big kids had a good time.
Yes. Yes, I couldn't grab any of my nieces during to this one.
Aw.
Trial.
Who cares?
June 12th, I attended the Natural and Cultural Resources Committee. We had a major focus and presentation on the glyphosate issue. Staff did a fantastic presentation. Got really in depth in terms of the questions the board's been asking and what we can do and where we can go with the issue. And the committee is developing based on a staff draft, a resolution to bring to the board of directors to express our view on the glyphosate issue. On the 13th, I also attended ASD-sponsored capital workshop and look forward to an additional session, perhaps on trails. On the 15th, I attended Exploring the San Pablo Bay Trail with the Greenbelt Alliance. and they gave me the opportunity to participate, and along the way from close to Rodeo all the way down to the North Shores, we went through fairly old and then fairly new segments of the Bay Trail, and we talked about how these different segments get funded, how they get built. The highlight of the afternoon, of course, was the bridge at the North Shores. And at the dead end, I was able to tell the group that we're working on a study for the completion of the trail from Point Wilson to Point Pinole, and everyone was very excited about that. So it was a very nice outing on this past weekend. Well, actually, the other highlight of my month was, as Director Lane pointed out, our tour of the Borella property. This was my first experience with that property. It is a fascinating oasis of open space and agriculture in the middle of the suburban Danville and San Ramon. And those warehouses were, never mind. A couple of outings, we hiked Rifle Range, and I was able to check out the slide we're talking about quite quickly. This was my first opportunity to check that out. We also walked around Lake Anza, and we've been hiking for the last couple of weekends in the Carquinez Straits parks and various trails, and enjoying those tremendous views. That covers me.
Okay, thank you. Director Corbett?
Thank you. I also attended the San Leandro Creek Alliance meeting on the 5th. And as Director Rosario said, there's a lot going on there. The community group is moving quickly forward, and there's some deadlines coming up, and there's some projects that look like they'll be completed soon, and so that's quite exciting. And thank you to the board for listening the other day about some ways maybe we can partner. We'll see how that goes, so thank you for that. On the 6th, I attended the board executive committee meeting. On the 8th, I attended what's always my highlight of the year, the Alameda Crown Beach Sand Castle and Sculpture Contest. It was fabulous. I did not win, but one of the castles that I judged did take home the castle of the show, best in show. And it was quite amazing. It was a huge castle on a hill. It had a wood drawbridge and a moat. They had engineered it so the water was flowing.
I can tell this is major content.
And then at the bottom of the hill was a whole bunch of little village houses that they built, and then they made trees with little sticks and, little green
Some
stuff.
people really
And,
get into
these
that.
little trees. It was really quite amazing. And it was 90 degrees at the beach in Alameda.
In Alameda, oh, that was,
Yeah. So that's something to remember.
I'm sure it is.
On the 12th, oh wait, no, never mind. I didn't do anything on the 12th for the Park District. Of course, on the 13th, I attended the Capital Trails Project Board Workshop with everybody else, and that was another really great presentation. Thank you so much for all the work that goes into that. On Friday, the 14th, I attended the State of the County speech along with Ann, with Supervisor Valle and Supervisor Haggerty, and very interesting because there's going to be some transition going on at our Board of Supervisors, and heard a really touching presentation on the county, the work they're doing and helping the homeless situation. Ann and I both were very impressed by that presentation. Very serious, but doing very good work. After that, it was an all Alameda County Day. I wandered over to the county fair, and if any of you haven't been there yet, it's looking very good. I think there's even more food booths this year than I've seen in past years. So
Not healthy food,
if you like fried food, there's plenty of that. And on the 17th, I didn't do this in my official, I had a different hat on when I attended the HARD meeting in Hayward. I was there to watch them adopt their policies and procedures for their new community garden. But after the meeting, there was some conversation about reviving the HARD, East Bay Regional Park District joint meeting that I guess used to happen in the past. And also wanted to let you know that There was some discussion about San Lorenzo Creek and some thoughts that they might be doing some work there. And I think important to the district, they have hired an outside consultant that can help them with acquisition work. It's a 13-month contract starting this month. So obviously it looks like with their wonderful new bond proceeds, they're going to be doing some acquisition and expansion for that park district. So I thought that was interesting. And then just for fun outings, as Director Coffey mentioned, I have discovered the, I'm not quite sure, it's the loop trail up at Chabot called, you would know this, is it the Cameron? Loop, the Cameron Loop Trail, and spent some great time there with my dog the other day on a very beautiful day. It's a great trail that goes down through the woods and then up around onto the lake trail and then back, sort of a switchback trail takes you all the way up through the ferns and back up to the public safety area. So if you haven't tried that one, it's very nice. Very nice. Thank you.
It's probably really nice with your dog, is most appreciated, I'm sure.
Yes, my dog liked it.
I attended the executive committee meeting, and I didn't know Ed Bennett for very long, just since I came on the Park District Board. But after listening to all the many people who spoke about him there, I wish I'd known him better. As a scientist, as an environmentalist, as a family person, what an impressive man, and so unassuming.
Very honest.
It was just a fascinating group of people who knew him and came to this event, so I'm really glad. And I always know with Beverly, if we go somewhere, she'll say, well, Ann, I think we ought to. And before I know it, we're off to a couple of parks, and so that was well worth doing too. Terry Noonan and I had planned a little tour, some of my territories. We cut it short because I think it was 100 degrees that day, but we did go over to Vargas Plateau, and there were actually 3 groups in the shade having picnics. They looked very comfortable. We drove by Mission Peak, and there was not a crowd, let me tell you. And we took a look at Tyler Ranch and talked about our desire to have that open and permit. So we'll maybe have another one later in cooler weather. The Capitol Trails and Workshop. I don't know how you design who goes first, but I think you ought to give different people time, because obviously trails is such an issue, and we are going to give them a separate issue, a time to go over some different points that people have. But it was well done. Staff worked very hard on it, and I certainly appreciate that. State of the County was fascinating. In the first place, 2/3 of the audience were elected officials. And the woman next to me was not elected, and she says, I'm not sure why I was invited, but she said, maybe it's because I sent a letter to the county. I said, could be. But she was certainly interested in what was going on. I was really impressed with not only their commitment to the homeless, and they've gathered funds from all over. They have staff hired, and they are smart enough to know it's just not one group. They talked a lot about the people who have mental issues and how they're going to go about trying to serve them. They are committed, I think, to finding housing, all of these things, and so I hope it works out, and they're going to work with various cities, and I think that's important. Richard Vallier mentioned that they have acquired the right, I'm not sure how or what, at the Masonic Home for several acres of ag, and in back a restoration project on Oaks. I wondered if we need to talk again about improving our access road into Garin and see if we can do something there.
That's all been a continuing discussion, and we are talking to the supervisor's office about their plans for Dig Deep Farms and our additional acreage we have there.
Richard Vallier's office about it and see
Yeah,
if
we
it's-
just, Eric just met,
Okay.
with Richard.
Because it seems like a good time. And of course, the topic of discussion was Supervisor Haggerty, who is his normal self, enthusiastic, in tears. And he had fun at the end. He said, all of you running for my office, raise your hand. Nobody did it, but we all had a feeling there might be a few in the room. Last issue, not much, not pleasant, but we've had 2 drownings at Del Val, not in our life-guarded section. I think we need to do some publicity about people renting boats the need to wear a life preserver, the need to think ahead. I don't know how you want to go about doing it, but I think we need, at the site and perhaps in paper, try to remind people that they're vulnerable.
Very happy to see in the clippings today, 3 articles on our press release already being covered about reminding people about enjoy yourself but be safe. And so that's part of what Public Affairs is rolling out in conjunction with our lifeguard services to make people more aware. And we are talking concessionaires as well.
Where they're renting
yeah,
boats,
yeah.
groups going out there for fun, why don't we see if they can have some rentable preservers? I don't know how you go about the life vest, whatever.
They probably have them on the boat.
Well, I don't know, do they all have them on the boat?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to just act like they're little kids and make them put them on, I don't know.
Probably.
That is so sad to read about both young men.
I mean, that's 2 people.
We are also looking into life jackets and maybe getting a little bit of an upgrade so people want to wear them.
Okay, I think it's an important thing to do. We want everybody to be having fun but enjoying themselves in a safe manner. And now I would like to invite Jen Pollock, who is representing Senator Fraser, and if she would like to say something, we'd be glad.
Or hello.
Oh, you may say hello or whatever you would like, but you're welcome. If you want to use the microphone, certainly. We're pleased to have you here.
I don't know that I need the microphone, being mom to 2 little girls.
Oh, now you're sounding like our fire chief.
Right?
It's a theme.
He's much more qualified than I am. Is this even on?
Yes.
Okay.
It's hard.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Jen Pollock, and I am Assemblymember Fraser's new district director. I have been with his team since the end of January. Very familiar with East Contra Costa County. I have been a team of the Contra Costa County Board of Supervisors for 11 years and started over in East Contra Costa County, was supervisor in PFO's office for a number of years, and then was supervisor Candace Anderson's team for the last 4 or 5 years, and worked with Director Lane on several projects, and I'm very, very familiar with my family currently living in San Ramon. Very familiar with those park trails over there. Currently in escrow on a place in Brentwood, so keep your fingers crossed because we're looking forward to exploring the trails over on this side. But in any event, lots of things obviously happening at the state. Very excited that the budget was approved on Friday, so that was a very exciting and peaceful Friday afternoon, to say the least, because we were expecting session to continue on Saturday. Some of the things certainly that we are working actively on is Assemblymember Fraser being chair of the IDD, the intellectually and developmentally disabled groups. He is busy moving about Northern California and meeting with communities on funding for that, along with veterans issues. Transportation issues are always first and foremost. We do get a lot of calls to our office in regards to Caltrans and roads and street repair and things of that nature. I myself am primarily out of the Brentwood office and do have a new colleague, Sean Kearns, over with me there. Some of you might have met him already. He's out and about in the community, and then 1 to 2 days a week I'm over in Solano County, and we have a new team members over there. So we are busy growing, we are busy with lots of different community things, but I look forward to getting to know you guys and becoming involved. And thank you very much for the invitation. I apologize for being late. I was the only one in the office this morning, so I emailed and said I'm going to be behind, but I promise I'll be there. So
We are sure you have many, many duties.
as we all do. We're all wearing many hats. So thanks for
We're
having
glad
me.
you made it. We hope you get some relaxation time in any of the parks you care to go to.
Just even walking into the
This
building.
is pretty good.
I took a picture.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
and even a breeze today, so thank you so much
Can
for
I just say,
coming. Of course.
real quick, Jen, we're looking forward to following up on the assembly members' interest in doing a walk and talk town hall. Maybe.
He's gonna have some hip surgery come
Oh.
July, so he's gonna be out for.
So that will be delayed.
A future happening, a future happening. Okay. Anything else anyone has to add?
Would we like to hear from Mike Moran
Oh, Mike?
and introduce your
Yes,
staff?
of course.
Thank you again, Mike Moran, Supervisor Natchez. I just want to introduce my staff. That's
I
actually
think
gracious
that would
hosting
be
it.
an excellent idea. It's not on the agenda, but why not?
Why not, as long as we're here. The folks who were no longer here today, Wally Hankins and Ed Valenzuela, two of our precious docents who provide over 1 FTE, about 1.5 FTE of service to the folks of East County. They were here this morning. Brianna, I don't know if Brianna's back here. Brianna? For the next four introductions, I want to thank the board and all management for the policies that we have in place that allow folks to explore new opportunities, our acting positions and temporary positions. And Brianna was at Antioch High School as part of the Environmental Academy, and then she took advantage of the interpretive internship over at Black Diamond Mines. From there came to us. So we're seeing those education interpretive programs that we have, pipelining folks up through, are really working for us, and we're really happy to have Brianna here. Rachel Polizzi, I'm sure a lot of you folks have met Rachel before in her role as either senior office assistant or temporary naturals, or senior office assistant, or temporary naturals, going back and forth. And right now she is, again, acting naturalist for us in the absence of two of our regular naturalists that are out on medical leave, extended medical leave. Rachel's taking great advantage of a lot of our training opportunities, to become a Delta Scholar, doing a lot of interpretive work and really broadening her horizons and expanding dramatically the amount of service and the quality of service we provide the folks out here. And Rachel, ascending to that position of naturalist, has left a vacancy open for our senior office assistant, which we just filled for the temporary, and that is Carol Francisco. Carol just joined us yesterday, so we're welcome for a board meeting. And then there's somebody hiding behind over there, who's not a member of my staff, but once was Jamie Rosati, our community outreach coordinator. Jamie was an intern with Nancy Kaiser, is that right? Or yeah, way back when, and then she was senior office assistant here, and now she's community outreach coordinator, and her biggest role ever, mom.
To be.
I want to thank everybody for the opportunities, for the transitions to allow folks to really grow and flourish in this place. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I can't think of a more enthusiastic group than we always find out here. You know, it just seems, and smiling faces. And I know sometimes you get huge crowds, and like Livermore, you get weird weather. And so you can't guarantee anything. But as that gentleman said, he didn't care. It wasn't a perfect day. He had a perfect time when he came out for a special program. So thank you for being so hospitable, for inviting us out here. And we don't just come for your corn. That helps. Maybe we do. I don't want to speak for myself. It's a nice thing to have. So thank you. If anybody has anything to add, thank you so much for your hospitality and for coming, and staff, let's keep up the good work. That meeting is adjourned.
Oh my God. That's the extra.